Today, we will take you on a journey to Colombia, a beautiful country that has made headlines for decades due to the simple fact that it is the world's #1 producer of cocaine. Colombia is fed up with being a victim of what can only be described as America's and West Europe's obsession with cocaine consumption, which has turned it into an unofficial war zone that continues to economically and socially lag. Will Colombia end the war on drugs? And what are the alternatives? Watch till the end to get the answers. Colombia has a very bad reputation as the world's #1 cocaine producer and home to the most dangerous drug cartels on the planet. However, it is also a victim of what can only be described as a very high demand for cocaine by the North Americans and West Europeans. Most of its cocaine production ends up in America, and the remaining mostly ends up in Canada and West Europe. The reason behind this is the demand by people who can afford to pay top dollar for their fix, and mostly get away with it, because cocaine is mostly the drug of the comfortable middle class and the rich. If it were not for this fact, and the high spending capacity of North Americans and Europeans, the Colombian drug industry would collapse under its own weight, as it would no longer be considered extremely lucrative and a source of the major hard currency, the US dollar. Technically speaking, Colombia is a victim. The failure of rich nations with high demand for cocaine in controlling their borders, while eliminating smuggling and cracking down on the financially better off segment of cocaine users in their populations, is the main reason why Colombia has been suffering for decades. According to the UN Office on Drugs and Crime and the US government's Drug Enforcement Agency, or DEA for short, the largest consumers of illegal narcotics, cannabis, opioids, and cocaine are in North America and Western Europe. A recent UN study shows that cocaine use in the United States has been fluctuating and increasing since 2013. The war on drugs strategy, initiated by the United States and Western countries, has had a two-pronged approach to the drug crisis. First, to criminalize retailers in Western countries, and second, to go to war against the peasants who produce the raw material in these drugs in countries such as Colombia. The truth is, this strategy can only be described as a miserable total failure, and no one is taking responsibility for it. It has hurt nations such as Colombia in immense ways, because the country has gone from annually producing less than 200 tons of cocaine merely 10 years ago to producing more than 1,000 tons per year as of 2020. Contrary to what many believe, Colombian farmers and cartels do not take the lion's share of profits from their drug trade. In reality, organized crime groups in North America and Europe are the ones that rack up the most profits. It is quite hard to put an exact figure on the size of the global cocaine market. However, experts estimate that cocaine consumers in the USA and West European nations alone spend nearly $70 billion annually on the white powder. Mind you, that amounts to more than double the consumption of the rest of the world, or about 92% of the world population to be exact. The reasons for this difference are obvious: demand, lifestyle, personal wealth, and failed government strategies. The Colombian cartels have been complicating the political and social scenes in Colombia since the 1960s. This led to an unstable economy, civil unrest, and serious inconsistencies for Colombians. Machismo attitudes are very present in daily life to this day. Women are less valued as a part of the workforce, and they are highly sexualized. Because of this, plastic surgery is very common for women in Colombia. Colombians today have only one uniting force, which is football, because it has been a consistent source of entertainment, identity, and culture, even through political and economic turmoil. Football in Colombia also represents an escape from social and economic hardships. Colombia is not all about drugs. It is a semi-developed economy. In the past 5 years, its GDP hovered around $390 billion. Colombia's main exports, excluding cocaine, are oil, coal, nickel, gold, flowers, coffee, and bananas. Between 1970 and 2000, the Colombian economy grew by as much as 5% annually. Colombians do not deny that the drug cartels had a significant impact on the economy due to the great amount of wealth they generate. Some of the cartel's bosses, both old and new, are estimated to average a net worth of about $5 to $10 billion. Bruce Bagley, the infamous Medellin cartel alone is reputed to earn some $5 billion a year. There are no exact figures as to the extent to which the cartel's profits benefit Colombia, but experts estimate that they contribute somewhere between 1 to 2% to the total GDP. However, the same experts would point out that the indirect economic damage the cartels cause cost Colombia more than triple that amount. In a nutshell, Colombia would have been and would be a much better off country, both economically and socially, without the cartels and their cocaine industry. However, cocaine has proven to be impossible to get rid of, both in Colombia and the West, among other regions. It is also becoming a stronger industry as demand and profits are steadily increasing. As a result, Colombia is fed up with being a target of blame and is also out of options. So it decided that the war on drugs, which has killed tens of thousands of Colombians, has to be replaced with something else that will fix the problems and put the nation on a path of social and economic sustainability. After all, Colombia, the DEA, CIA, and the US Army failed in even convincing Colombian farmers to stop growing coca. Mind you that the farmers have suffered the most as a result of the US declared war on drugs. This leads us to the big question. What is Colombia planning to do? Is it planning to create a nationally regulated cocaine industry that also exports to countries that have or will decriminalize possession of small amounts? Would it be able to export cocaine as a pharmaceutical product, since it is already being used as a medicine and local anesthetic? Can the cartels become regulated, tax-paying corporations? Or is it all just a fantasy that will fire back? The traditional solution has been to punish the farmers by destroying crops through even more sophisticated and forceful measures: aerial fumigations, enforced eradication campaigns, aerial monitoring, and the deployment of troops to coca-growing regions. Killing them was also quite common. The US footed more than $30 billion on fighting the Colombian cartels and coca farmers. Colombia spent a few billion dollars as well. Colombia's President Petro recently told the world at the United Nations, "There has been a genocide on my continent and in my country. Millions of people have been sentenced to prison. I demand from here, from my wounded Latin America, to put an end to the irrational war on drugs. Reducing drug use does not need wars. It needs us all to build a better society." So far, the hawks in the West have rebuffed the new Colombian plans, fully aware that the country cannot go solo, and its leadership is not naive enough to attempt implementing bold, expensive plans without the USA's help. Many experts also noted that such a plan would only give the cartels more time and space to increase their sphere of influence. The experts are right, however, if the US administration decided that Colombia's new plan is feasible and can contribute to a decline in cocaine-related crimes and deaths. It may fund the plan and end Colombia in achieving such a massive and complex milestone. The issue of cocaine and related violent crimes is a dangerous issue that affects millions of people every day. More than 150,000 people die in North America and Europe every year due to cocaine overdose. Organized crime groups and street gangs that traffic, sexualize, and exploit women, teenagers, and children in the massive and sadistic global sex trade industry heavily rely on cocaine to keep their victims in a zombie state and under control, and their clients in a delusional state and coming back. Cocaine is also a major source of income that funds other illicit activities. So will the world listen to Colombia and cooperate? Only time will tell. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, share, comment, and hit the bell to get a notification every time we upload another awesome, informative, and educational video that takes you to new places across the globe as we explore issues that shaped and are bound to shape the future of nations and humanity.